right. Hello, everybody. This is the, I guess, new and improved freedom frequency. I jostled the name a little bit. This is being recorded for quality and other purposes. So this is the second meeting, or second set of meetings. You know, we covered some basics, I guess, in my opinion, of frequency and kind of the science that kind of can relate and fill in some of the possibly some of the technical terms. But tonight we're going to kind of work with it a little bit more and see how we can kind of understand it better and you know, use it to our advantage. So I want to kind of kick off with a couple of stories, I guess, from this last week since our meeting. Just kind of how my vibe has kind of changed and moved up and down, and how I had kind of a noticeable little trigger that really kind of changed my day from being, you know, really good, and I guess you'd say high vibe, to not being so high. So you know, the first one is, I think, is kind of it's kind of major. It's kind of a big flow of vibe that I notice. And I really kind of noticed a pattern really kind of set in the last 8 months or so. In that time period, there's been probably, I'd say maybe 5 or 6 periods of time of my life where I was clearly in a low vibe. I was just negative about everything. You know, and it's just a short amount of time, but it, you know, I get real negative about what I'm doing and myself, and whether I'm doing things right, or I'm even know what I'm talking about, and kind of being, you know, I feel myself kind of getting, I guess, mad at the world that, you know, things, I'm not getting my fair share, or I'm owed something. And, you know, a lot of times, the first couple of times, I know I was sick when it happened, and it's just real noticeable for me, because I do go from, I think, being real positive and open and can hold a high vibration, but like I said, it does happen to all of us. It's we're all going to go through it, you know, even if you really understand vibration. But what I really noticed in the last few months was that every single time I was in the dumps. I mean, I was just hating the world, to be quite honest. And I noticed that at some point right after that, something awesome happened. Like I just got slingshotted back up. Like it was either something I learned that really set me at peace with a lot of the stuff I've been studying, or something else happened that was just like a good fortune in a way. And right away, my mood changed, and I got kind of back to my old self, or the self I wanted to be, and could start being a lot more positive, and start thinking about all the good things that I'm doing, or that I'm a part of, and all the good things that we can make happen, and, you know, getting that energy back. And like I said, it's happened to me like 5 times, and, you know, I got sucked into it the last couple of times. It's like, why does this keep happening? Like, you know, I'm protecting my vibe as best I can. You know, I'm staying away from things. I'm also really trying to put good energy out there, but it still just like gets me. And it got me like this week, you know, Monday, or maybe it was Tuesday. And, you know, I don't know why I just woke up that way, but it was just like, I started having a lot of doubts about doing these meetings. You know, it's kind of like, you know, what if people don't like it? What if nobody appreciates it, or I get bad comments? And, you know, and it was just like who do I think I am to share this stuff? You know, and it was I you know, I could really just feel it hold me down. And but it kind of clicked for me that I just kind of remembered that every time this happens, something awesome happens after, like super awesome. And, you know, I can't say there was anything real change. I haven't that super thing that happened. I had a really great day today. You know, some folks that paid attention to this video reached out to me and want me to, you know, possibly speak on it, which is just awesome. That's exactly what I'm what I'm hoping to do. So I just wanted to kind of share that sense of my vibration and what I kind of go through. And I think everybody in some capacity, you have those moments, you go through the dumps. And yeah, so that's just kind of like a big ebb and flow of like situation. Like you can kind of have a bad vibe kind of stick with you for a few days, and it doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. I mean, in a lot of ways, you can look at it as you're healing, that your body's kind of making a change almost, and it's just super uncomfortable. Your vibes is changing a little bit, and it makes you a little bit more susceptible, a little more vulnerable, sensitive. But again, the ebb and flow of frequency is like, if something's down for too long, it's going to come back up. So in the other thing that happened, it was last Thursday, and this is just, I think, a perfect example of like protecting your vibe and knowing, trying to keep things, good when they're going good. I had my daughter Thursday, and then dropped her off at 2, and being with her is it's an effort. I mean, it's taxing. You really got to kind of put in a lot more energy just to be around. And I always kind of find myself a little tired after I see her for a while, but I knew I was tired. I knew I was like wanting a nap already. So I already knew my energy level was just, it wasn't really high. And I decided to go bowling for an hour after I saw her. And then so I went bowling, I'm like doing something I like. It's my time in a way, I just I was just kind of taking care of myself. And I got on my phone and looked at Facebook, and there was some argument thing I got into that was like a week old. It was like 3 days old or something like that, or whatever. And it was just this ugly comment, called me stupid, something or whatever. And I got defensive like that. I was just ready to get back at him. And the rest of my day, I was funky. When I was driving, I was a little grumpier. I wasn't, I was yelling at people for not going when they were supposed to go. And it was just like that little trigger, that little event just shifted everything, and I let it suck me down. And by the end of the day, I was just like, man, how did that day change? So those are just a couple of personal examples. I just, noticed them this week, and, wanted to share. Do you guys have any, maybe a little memory or notion of your vibe, or being more aware of your vibe since we talked? I won't pick on anybody, but, feel free to jump in.
I would have to say mine was the driving, and the traffic brought me down.
Yeah.
And it lowered my whole vibe, because we were on our way to go work out, and then we just didn't feel like doing anything after we got there.
Right. So, traffic is obviously, it's a big trigger for a lot of folks. Like, did you get a chance to really, observe it and kind of question it? I know you said you were on your way to go somewhere, and the traffic obviously feeds that. But
They were doing construction, bringing it down to one lane.
Right.
And I knew I should have went another way, and I didn't.
But I guess I'm asking, like, that feeling, was it like, I think of traffic, when I get stuck in construction, it's always, why are they doing it now? Why are they doing it now? Like that, no matter when they're doing it, but that's, I don't know, I guess it's one of my triggers. But yeah, traffic's a good one to observe too. I think it's a good medium because you're always going to get triggered on the road. Someone's always going to be kind of or something, right?
And it was even on the way home. I think it was just my vibe. On the way home, people were riding at your butt and cutting you off. And
right.
I think the construction brought my whole day that path for driving.
Are you kind of aware of where your vibe was before? Like, was your day already were you kind of worn out? Were you already kind of maybe frustrated, or was it just a total switch?
I think it was just a total switch.
Yeah. So Anybody else wanna, I'm gonna get into some stuff, but if you guys wanna share something, no pressure, no pressure. So, we're gonna talk about seeing that vibe, working with it, and trying to protect it. And um, there's a couple of just surefire methods, things you can do that will change your vibe for the good in just a heartbeat. It's just it's robotic. There's a phrase, there's a song that I like to sing, but one of the lyrics is you get what you give, right? And we all kind of know that saying probably from growing up or whatever, that you do good to others, good will come back to you, like the law of karma, right? You got to you put bad stuff out there, you're going to get bad back. And if you understand that concept, that everything's quantum, and and everything's a frequency and a vibration, that if you know you're low and you know you're down, doing something good for somebody else completely without acknowledgement, just totally general kindness in any way possible. I mean, it could be easy as giving somebody $5 on the street that's asking for it, or it's honestly letting people cut you off, kind of like just adding a little grace to the drive. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just little things like that, and it puts things in perspective. Usually you got to kind of slow down and whatever, but it's just super therapeutic. It's just it will definitely, it may not just shoot you right back up, but it'll kind of keep the vibe from going too low. The other one is I think is a bigger one. It's more of a long process. Is it's the word observe. So I want to really make sure you guys kind of get what that is saying. So would anybody like to offer a answer to what the difference is between watching something and observing it? No takers. Okay. All right. Well, think about football games, sports. I got a lot of experience doing that. If you're watching the Broncos play on Sunday, your team, you're kind of looking for something. You're looking for your team to do good. You're getting into the game, you're cheering them on, you're emotionally connected, right? You're watching something to kind of get an experience out of it. Well, observing has no action. It has no involvement. You're not tied to anything. You're just observing. So if you go observe a football game, it'd probably be somebody that isn't a sports fan or doesn't have a favorite team, and they're just going to sit back and just take everything in. You're going to take what the football team's doing on offense. You just notice what's happening. You're probably going to notice how the coaches are running around on the sides, notice the people in the stands, or different things that you are not emotionally connected to. So when it comes to your vibe and what we're talking about, observe everything. What I want to tell you to question it, no matter what it is, your good feelings, your bad feelings, your good days, whatever you notice a change in something, or even if you notice your thoughts or a thought process, is to question. It's like, where is that coming from? The problem with questioning is that when you ask a question, you're inclined to want an answer, right? So if you do something, you're like, why did I do that? What's going on? And you sit back and you question it, and you kind of dig and root down to the source, you're already kind of cutting yourself short, because you're trying to find an answer. Your mind already kind of wants an answer. And when you observe something, you're not looking for an answer. You're not looking for a solution. There's no end game. It's just observing, taking it all in. So so when you have feelings or emotions, or you notice you're down, you notice you're in a real high, just you can just observe it. It's what was it that got me here? a series of events happen? Did something just change? Like, you know, driving home, you're in a great mood and all of a sudden you're just don't even want to go. Just observe it. You know, you don't have to have an answer. You don't have to have the solution or the why. You just take it in and observe. And that in itself is a very high vibrational activity. When you can observe, you're not stuck on any other frequency. You're seeing what else is out there. What could there possibly be? So when you're trying to really study your vibe and hone in on things, observing is extremely powerful. It's to me, it's the golden ticket to all this. I mean, noticing things without a reaction, without an action, without intent, without wanting an answer. And that's what our logic brain does, right? Our logic mind is all math and yes or no and black and white. So if there's a question, there's got to be an answer. And your logic conscious mind is going to always kind of hunt for that answer. And we think that that's totally natural, and that's pretty common. I mean, especially my engineering background, that was you know, that was the root for everything. What's the answer to the question? So, for example, you have your own frequency, you have your own vibration, and that's you. That's your soul. That's inside you. That's the one that counts. But you also have thoughts, feelings, and actions. And those all have their own vibration, their own frequency that is separate from yours if you allow it. And so, you know, when you meditate or you get the moment to really kind of notice your thoughts and observe what you're thinking about, observe what energy you're putting into the different various thoughts you have throughout the day, you can observe their energy. You know, it's not hard to have a low vibrational thought, right? Oh, I'm awful at this, nothing's going to work out, shame on me. You know, those are all thoughts, and they're all just low vibrational thoughts. And the more you think those and you allow those to manifest into low vibration feelings, you're going to probably start doing some low vibrational actions. And if you add all those together, your real frequency is just going to follow suit. You're just going to keep going down that track. So if you have high vibrational thoughts, if you can maintain a positive outlook on everything, if you can find a way to like give grace to the trespasses against you, if you just have a positive, you know, mindset about things, thoughts totally separate from who you are, you know, you're giving yourself a leg up. Your true vibe follows your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. You know, so if you notice a bad feeling, if you notice some sadness coming on or some anger, and you realize that feeling is kind of its own deal, you know, you can baby that little feeling frequency. You can kind of, you know, tweak it up a little before it really kind of like takes you down. You know, it's the same way with your actions. You know, it's some actions we do are in grace and for helping others and a greater love for humanity. And sometimes we do actions that only serve us, that are just for me, just for what I want, just for my needs. I'll take away from somebody else to get what I want. You know, those actions I feel are low vibration. And we mask up all those actions, you know, in the hamster running world to justify the things we do, you know. And you know, it's if when it comes to your actions, if you're doing something that you don't want to do, that your will does not want you to do, that you feel forced, obligated to do, that, you know, I hate to say it, but that is a low vibrational effort. You know, if you go to work and somebody tells you to do something, clean the floors, and you don't want to do it, but you do it because you got to make sure you got to keep that job and get that paycheck, you know, and your mindset is like, I hate this. I don't want to do this. Why do I, you know, in order for me to put food on the table or do whatever, I got to mop these dirty, greasy floors. Like, that's a low vibe energy, low vibe action. But you can be doing the exact same action. You can do the exact same thing, exact same circumstance. But you can have a positive attitude on it, and you can be doing it with a higher vibration. Be like, I'm helping people. Like, I'm keeping this place cleaner so the people working here can be a little bit happier when they're preparing other people's food or doing whatever. I'm putting my energy in to help the greater good. And it's can often just be that simple. So I want to go into, anybody have any questions? Does that resonate with anybody? You want to give me a thumbs up that you're liking it, making sense? All right, cool. So it's a weird feeling to just be sitting here talking to a computer for 30 minutes with nothing back. So I got to make sure I'm not going too far off a rabbit hole, off a cliff. So yeah, so controlling your vibe, it's observing what's affecting. It's observing the vibe. It's observing your thoughts. It's observing your feelings and your actions, and it's observing those of others. Okay, like, you know, we kind of touched on it before, where you can go into a situation with a high vibe or a low vibe, and you know, I said, you know, when you're in a low vibe, you're having a low frequency. You're not getting as much information to process as you could be. You know, so if you're really sad or mad or feeling bad about yourself, you're just not seeing everything. You're not recognizing all that's available. But when you do that same action and with the higher vibration, and you're seeing more, like everything's kind of coming in easy, there's no stress. That's what it was. So I know there's probably a little confusion or frustration with understanding that a lower vibe is slower information, because I think we feel like everything's speeding up when we're in a lower vibe. Like when someone's angry, you know, it's just like, you know, you're filling in the gap so much, you know, that you're blaming everybody else. You know, that anger is just growing. But if you think about it, like, let's think about it as like a store, okay? If you run a store and you have a frequency of 1 customer per day, you're going to have to work a lot harder. You're going to be a whole lot more stressful to try to make ends meet, right? You're not getting as much of the stuff you need to run the business you need, right? But if you're getting 100 customers a day, you have a struggle having, you know, too much now. You know, your bills are going to get paid. You know, you're making enough money and everything's easier, right? It's just a simpler life. You have, you know, more frequency of stuff coming in. So I guess I wanted to throw out that little analogy. But yeah, you know, observation, and that is a real critical piece to meditation. And I know a lot of people struggle with meditation when they can't control their thoughts, that they go through the exercise, they get into the posture, they take the time, you know, they work on their breathing, and then, you know, they get quiet and everything's quiet in there, and those thoughts just don't stop. They just keep coming. And it's real easy, especially in the beginning, to get mad at yourself, to bring yourself into a low vibe because you're overwhelmed with all these thoughts and you think something might be, you know, is wrong with you, or you're having to work too hard. So, you know, if you can meditate and you can get quiet and you can get to your breath and you get to that area where you're just totally aware of your thoughts, you know, and it's just to totally observe them. You know, it's real easy to get emotionally triggered by your thoughts, right? You know, you start thinking about something and it can grab you, and you just start coming up with all these other ideas or adding all kinds of what ifs to it, you know, and it can just take you away. But if you can just observe them and say, all right, why is this thought throwing so much energy at? What does it want? And you ask it, what does it want? And if you're fighting with that thought already, you already know a little history about it, you know, you're already giving it an answer to make it kind of go away. In a way, you know, you're not observing it. You're jumping to conclusions with it. So if you have this thought, you just simply ask what it wants and be open to whatever it comes. It could be completely out of your realm of expectations. But when you observe things, the one thing, the one real powerful thing is you develop that separation between it and yourself. So it's very difficult to think of your thoughts as being outside of you, not being you, because they're in there, right? They're just always there. And your feelings, you don't, I touch this printer over here. I'm not getting a feeling, right? The feelings are inside, and our actions, that's us putting our will into place. But there is a separation there. Now, not be great, but observing that and noticing that separation is the major step, is the big piece to seeing vibration and energy affect you in all the different aspects of your life. So yeah, all right. One more thing about thoughts. Actually, I got a picture I want to share with y'all. I just threw it up on the whiteboard. Okay. I'm gonna have to, oopsies. There we go. Okay. You guys like my picture?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna start here on the left just because it's there. This is just kind of the, I guess, mental picture I have, or one of them at least, when it comes to like vibration. So whether you meditate or not, or you're aware of your chakras or not, this represents, the human, the man, woman. And you do have a physical, spiritual, energetic center that it runs right down your spinal cord, right through your vertebrae, and that's where it's at. Now here, I'll zoom in. I don't know if y'all want to see all that. So I did kind of draw in this little box here. So this is your conscience. Okay, if you notice, not real clear, but I put XX hertz CPU, right? So this XX is your vibration. This is how well and how fast you can process what are all these little vibrations constantly coming at you. You're constantly getting hit with energy and vibration. And we'll probably go into this deeper a little later, but if you notice this truth, this center that comes through you, I wrote in here truth, and it goes all the way up to God. Now, that's totally how I understand it. Okay, whether you believe in God as some fictitious thing up in the clouds or just in storybooks, we are all God's creation, and there's a little bit of God in every single one of us. There's another individual right over here, and they have this connection, this center, this high vibrational frequency that realizes the influence or the connection between man and God. I put these arrows on here because not only are we constantly receiving frequency, we put it out too. We radiate a vibe, we radiate a frequency. I have several friends that are healers, and a couple of them work really well with, non-present healing, just energy work, kind of, sending a vibe out to somebody, a healing vibe, a peaceful vibe. That's what's happening when you pray. Praying and meditating are the same thing. Okay, you're quieting your mind, you're putting some intention into your life, into what you want, what your soul needs, and you're just kind of putting it out there. You're sending it to God, hopefully, but you can also send it to other people. Someone's in the dumps or whatever, you can say a little prayer for them, send them a little good intention. I guess the last thing I want to show on here is that I kind of throw this little intense vibration, and these are the things that we are accustomed. These are the things that we would say we know, that we are always turned into that vibration. If you wanted to talk about any topic and it, just a wealth of information is coming in at you, right? So that's what, it's an intense vibration. But if your energy system here, it can only hold so many vibrations at a time. I mean, you can do a lot, don't get me wrong, but these intense ones, there's only so many it can handle. So, you know, if you realize that, things like forgetting or letting go of what stuff free up your energy to explore other things. You know, if you want to make a bunch of changes in your life and you've got a ton of strong vibrations and an understanding of how things go, it's going to be super difficult to see any other way. You got to kind of have that capacity to kind of like, you know, tune things out, even the good stuff, and just, you know, and just kind of recognize that power. Okay, this is my last little piece here. Gosh, uh-oh, you guys are seeing my dirty laundry there. All right, negative thinking, your thought vibration. Okay, so we all know you can either have negative thinking or positive thinking, right? And the trap to negative thinking is that it sucks twice as much energy out of you, and you still have to experience the bad thought. Okay, so let's say you've got a goal, you want to, well, all right, I'll use golf. Sorry, everybody. So when you're golfing, you obviously want to do good. And if you look at the course and you got a shot to take, and there's a bunch of water there and a sand trap over you, and it's a hard shot. If your mind's saying, don't hit it in the water, okay? Your mind and your soul, for one thing, hear and experience everything. So simply by saying water, of don't hit it in the water, brings your mind to the water. Okay, you're looking at the water. It's something you don't want to do, but you happen to do it. And then your mind puts a negative in front of it, like this picture here, right? So we'll call this one here, this is hitting it in the water, and this one is don't do it. So for every negative thought you have to think about the bad thing. And then your conscious mind has to put a negative on it. And if you understand programming at all, it's like a NOT gate. A NOT gate basically took every 0 to a 1 or a 1 to a 0. So you're basically just making it the opposite. So just by, you know, block effort here, if you're thinking not to do something, don't do this, avoid the bad, get rid of the bad, cut the bad out, you're expending so much more energy and you're not getting away from it. You're still swimming in it. Where if you have a positive thought in golf, you're thinking right down the fairway, guaranteed, no matter what, right? That's all you're seeing. You're not even looking at the water. Maybe you noticed it before, you know, you set out a target, but your mind is working in a positive arena. And I think that is really huge, because it's easy to catch yourself. I mean, anytime you're being negative towards others, towards yourself, it's a great time to kind of catch yourself and observe and say, hey, just for the energy perspective. So, well, that's all I got right now. You guys got questions or want to chit chat? Let's do it.
I'm right there with you, Ray, with the negative thoughts.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I work really hard to have my positive thoughts in my life.
Totally. Yeah, and you know what? If you understand that, look at our world. What do they keep throwing at us? Don't do this. This is the bad stuff. This is the bad stuff. Negative. You know, they put it on you. They make you feel shameful about being a human. You're the one making everybody sick, or, you know, you're the reason people are living in the streets or whatever. Like they just throw the negative at you. Don't do this. Don't do this. And the other trick to that is that when you're in a low vibe and you're focusing on the negative and you see the danger, there's a law of duality where it's forcing you to kind of flip it around to be good, right? If you're saying, hey, this is bad, you know, being tall is bad, being tall, whatever, being tall is not bad, then clearly short's good. Short's best. You know, it's just it's a polar opposite. And that's how they really get us in, the public domain, and, you say, oh, I identified, that this is the bad guy or this is the good guy. So this individual has to be the bad guy, where if we don't need to have any room for negativity. We don't have to have those negative thoughts. There's no need to try to constantly cut out the bad. The bad vaporizes when there's good. It's the difference between the light and the dark, right? You're constantly running around trying to get rid of the darkness. That's really hard. But if you shine a light, poof, it's gone.
Which I'm working on. I also work very hard on bringing that negativity and drama. When people bring drama to my life, they're out of my life. I try to keep that positive thing.
Yes. Good. That's, and that's, I guess that's what you want to do. And it's the negative thing is super tough. Even not, get negative about being negative. Like, oh, I've been thinking negative lately. Shame on me. Like that's just a double, you're just adding it on, and the feeling of shame, anytime you have some thought where you feel you're not good or you're not good enough or anything like that, A, it is total bullshit. B, question it. You shouldn't really never have that feeling. You're gonna, I do all the time, but that's never a high vibe. There's nothing for you, even if you've done awful things in the past, there's no value in pulling that shame on you constantly. Kathleen, you got your hand up. Yeah, you're on mute.
Unmute.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, yeah. I can see a little icon on there when you're muted too. So
The people that I hang around with, the difference that I see, Ray, with this low and high energy that you talk about are my friends who are in the working world. They have to deal with 3D world.
totally.
And that's every day. And that's a real challenge for people who are in the working world. And I remember it well as a nurse, being in the working world and having to deal with the people who just always love to be there. Of course, I didn't know about 3D and all that stuff then, but there are those people that the working people have to deal with every day. It's just completely different than not having to go and see them every day. That's been my experience.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this. Like I see the world is, and we're suffering. We all are. I mean, not, we're not crawling on the ground bleeding every
Well,
day,
it's
but I mean,
challenging.
psychologically, emotionally, I mean, we are getting the screws put to us, and you either see it or you don't see it, but it's definitely happening.
Yeah, but outside the working world, it's not quite that painful and challenging anymore as it was as a working.
Yeah, I mean, that's
person.
the power is in the observation, but you got to be warned that it's not going to always be good. If you're really being honest about your observation, questioning everything, even the good things you do or whatever, just observe it. You're going to see truths that you're not comfortable with, and what you're talking about there, like to be in the working world and hustling every day, you're 9 to 5, mortgage payments, your bills, you're doing stuff on the weekends, you're getting dinner ready at night, you're getting stuff, it consumes you so much that, if you do, observe your thoughts and your feelings, and you start observing your actions, how are you spending your time? How are you spending your energy, right? Are you doing it just to serve yourself? Are you doing it just to get that paycheck so somebody else can get all the fame or all the money or whatever? Are you doing things that generally bring people's lives up a little bit, make them better, And some of us really do it. Some of us try to do it. Some of us think we're doing it. Like the system out there is full of us. It's full of people doing the things. And they are completely oblivious to the impact spiritually and vibrationally that it has on humanity. And it's not their fault. They're not doing it with ill intent. It's your friends. So to to come to the realization that, you know, your livelihood or whatever however you're earning your paycheck is actually really toxic, is actually really bringing misery to people's lives. Like, that's a heavy realization. Like, that's a heavy choice. Like, you know, and that's putting it right in front of you. And that is the real challenge of all this, because we are all gridlocked in all this obligation, you know, this debt slavery. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's the truth.
Now, it will change.
Yeah, we'll get there. You know, and that's, I guess I'll bring that up, you know, if you understand your thoughts are a vibration, your feelings are a vibration, your actions are a vibration, you know, and if you do understand the concept that everything you get, you know, is what you give. I don't think there's any higher vibration thing I can do than to spread this to everybody, you know, to let, you know, as many people see this and experience it, because, you know, it is a remedy. It is a path. And, you know, I want my life to be better. I want my life to be great and happiness and high vibration. So this truly is an effort of mine to give. I'm putting what I know and what I've come to be really, really important, and I'm putting it out there. Hopefully it's well accepted and taken. And even if it's not, you know, it's, you know, I got the right, coming from the right place. You know, I'm doing it just to serve the people, just to help everybody, you know, and I'm not looking for accolades for that, but that's the difference. Because I know we all really want to do good. We all have those moments where we want to help each other and want to do these things, but our ego mind or society or whatever, put these blocks up, put these massive blocks up to where it's super hard. That, you know, you can only really give to somebody else after you made your money, after you paid your taxes, after you know, and whatever you got left, after you pay your bills, you still got something left, you know. But like I said, it's not, from a large scale, it's not going to get us anywhere.
But right, you also have to fill your cup before you can help somebody else, because it could be draining helping others sometimes, and
100%.
you can't bring your cup lower. You have to fill your cup.
You do have to be aware of your vibration, totally, and that's the beauty of it. It's one and the same. Okay, so I mean, I'm not a proponent of, I mean, I do it, don't get me wrong, of like cutting people out. I mean, trust me, I'd definitely do it. But you can get lazy with that too. You know, you can just start cutting everybody out, you know.
I don't do that.
No, I'm not saying that, but there is a beauty there when you can start to see how your vibration influences others and how their vibration influences you. You know, for example, I know every single one of you have probably sat with or talked to somebody that was having an awful day. They were probably super miserable, crying, angry, whatever. And maybe you just said the right things and they started feeling better, but maybe you just sat there and talked with them. You know, you just held space. We've heard that term, right? A lot of us don't know what it is. It's just being with them, lending them your high vibration so they can work out what they're working out, right? And I know, and yeah, I know you sat with somebody when they were done, they were in a better mood, right? And sometimes it was clearly your advice, and sometimes they just rattled on and on and on and on, and all of a sudden feel better just by you sitting there. You know, so watching others' vibration and protecting yours, the other side of that is seeing how you can radiate vibration. You know, I've been to him.
Maybe analysis to that is helping somebody else can help fill your cup.
Yeah.
When you say you've got to fill your cup before you can help somebody else, helping them may help fill your cup.
Right. And that's exactly right. And then there is a point though, if your vibe is high enough where nobody else's vibe can touch you. You know, I mean, if you're just, I mean, you think about going to a party. I've gone to parties where I was like, I don't want to go. This isn't going to be any fun. You know, I start imagining these people being mean to me or teasing me or whatever. And I'm just, I don't want to be there. Or I'm thinking about some other junk. And I come into the party and I'm grumpy. And my mom knows it. Every partner I've ever had knows that I can walk in a room, not say a word, and make everybody miserable. That's not something I'm proud of, but it's just true. Like I you know, in my logical mind, I'm keeping it to myself. I'm not sharing my problems. I'm not complaining. I'm not blaming anybody. But I'm just in this ugly vibe. And if I go to a party, you know, people are going to pick up on that. And they're going to pick up that ugly vibe, and it's just going to be fun. But at the same time, I can go into a party and be like, I don't know anybody here. You know, I'm not going with any. I'm totally by myself. But I can go there and say, you know what? I'm going to light this party up. I'm going to bring such a high vibe with no intention of, hey, I'm going to tell these jokes or do whatever, to just, you know, radiate love and just be your absolute best self. And when somebody wants to come talk to you or whatever, you're sharing space, you're engaging, you know, you're not just throwing out your same talking points or whatever. You're really finding a connection there. You know, and that only happens when the vibe's high. So, I mean, you know, yeah, protect your vibe. If you got a stinker around you, you know, there ain't nothing wrong with, you know, keeping your space, you know, knowing how to maybe say the right things just to, you know, be polite and not make them feel crappy too. But yeah, you know, and there's a lot to be said for, like, you know, healing and taking care of your own first, like not your own, but like, you know, going to a party, whatever. Like if your vibe's so damn bad that it's just super low and you're feeling you're obligated to go, don't go. Stay home, put on a movie, take a bath, go for a walk, even it out. Like just, you know, you don't have to do anything, you know, like protecting your vibe should be a really high thing on the scale, you know, and that's what the working world does. They're constantly dragging people into places, situations they don't really want to be in. And when you're forced to constantly get pushed through that, your vibe's toast. It's just always going to be in there unless you can see it. A couple other high vibe things that are kind of like emergency based, maybe, you know, again, nature, hands down, get into nature. If you can, sit under a tree, you know, a shower, water running over your body, that is an energetically clearing activity. I don't know if you use if you smudge. I use Palo Santo quite a bit with like wood sticks, but a smudge will clear an area. It will kind of clear any kind of bad vibrations that are around. And Palo Santo will kind of even things out. So it'll do the similar thing, but it's not really, you know, if you got a spirit, you got to get out. You want to go with the smudge. But, you know, like, you know, before I leave the day for the house, I try to, you know, walk through a smudge or a Palo Santo, just, you know, if it anything gives me that confidence that, you know, I got a little extra high vibe protection on my side, you know. Yeah, I mean, if you can really observe when things start to come on. And that's the other point. One thing I want to add is that you can always raise your vibe. You can always go up. You can always put your energy into making it go up. You might not experience it or feel it, but if you're going through the bad, you got to know that it's going to go up. It's definitely going to go back up. When? I don't know. So if you realize you've kind of gone subpar and you're in kind of a low zone and you recognize it, the first thing I'd recommend is to limit your effort and your involvement. Try not to engage with other folks any more than you really need to. You know, because if you're in a low vibe and you're not there and you struggle, and you know, that's when you kind of might snap at somebody, you might kind of be shitty to somebody, you know, and you're really just propagating bad vibe, right? So if you know you're feeling, you know, just try to keep it to yourself. You know, if you got to practice, you know, shower, go to bed, whatever things that, you know, can make you feel good, feel peaceful, you know, are good. Be aware of like quick fixes, you know, foods, certain type of movies, violent movies or whatever, just things that might really get your emotional lever going. Try to, avoid that kind of input. Because if you can kind of keep the low from going too low, when it comes back up, you're going to be a lot higher on the vibe scale. If your vibe goes low and you just feed into it and you start kicking the dirt, giving people dirty looks and being just negative, you're really bringing your vibe down. So when it comes back up, it's probably just going to come to neutral. You're not going to really feel the high vibe. You're just going to be, in the middle. Shoot, one more thing. Yeah. So, all right, this is the last one. Well, when somebody has a temper, I've heard it a million times. I always say, count to 10, right, before you do anything, because especially when you're angry and you need low vibration, they say, like, don't make any decisions, right? Don't do anything. Don't make any permanent things that you've done in a low vibrational state. We already know you're not getting all the information. So you don't want to commit yourself to some, poor action. But yeah, so the 10-second thing, what were you doing when you're really mad and you can walk away and count for 10 seconds? All you're doing is keeping that vibe plummeting. You're leveling it out. You know what I'm saying? So, just, breathe in space to anything, take your time, try not to rush. Take it easy. And the truth is, all those things are actually really good for maintaining your vibe, keeping it high too. So, well, I think that's all I got. I'm going to stop the recording now, but we'll keep chatting.